And we are live. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
It is so
Hi.
good to have you guys here. We've got a couple other people, Talon and Sandra, who are going to be trying to join in with us. So they will hopefully be added to the screen at some point. But my name is Katherine D. Graham. I'm a fantasy author. Thank you for tuning in. We are doing indie author related live chats, and today we have a super special episode because we are talking to some of the women who are bringing our stories to life in the form of audiobooks, and I'm so excited and honored to be here. And if you're watching and you have questions for any of these amazingly talented people, put them in the comments and we will ask them. We've got some that were pre submitted. But since we just got started, why don't we go ahead and share a little bit about who we are? We'll just start with you, Shakira, and then go clockwise. And as Sandra and Talon come in, we will add them to the chat as well. Hey,
Okay.
Great.
Sandra.
Hi, Sandra.
Hey,
Okay.
everybody.
Well, my name is Shakira Sheet, and I am a narrator and voice actor. I'm British, but I live in North America, in Canada at the moment, and I've been recording audiobooks full time as my full job for almost a year, but part time for about 3 years, almost. That's me.
Okay,
It
I
is
am
such a pleasure
Jillian.
to have you. Hi,
Sorry,
Jillian.
jumped in. Hello. Sorry, I kind of jumped in there. All right, I am Jillian Yetter. I've been narrating full time about a year, but I've been doing this for about 3 years as well. Before that, I was a high school English teacher for 10 years. So that is my acting experience is performing books for teenagers who don't want to listen to them and trying to make them interested in them. So that's a little bit on my background. I've done 50 books at this point. So I'm getting there, and I really went full time this year. Specialize in young adult, sweet romance, and like cozy mystery or fantasy sort of books.
That's really exciting. There's like a really tough crowd when it comes to teenagers.
Yes, it
Like
is.
make it interesting for teenagers. Although my first audiobook ever was as a teen that I listened to, and I remember listening to Dragonheart, and it has stuck with me to this day because the narrator did such a good job, and I was like, I actually like listening to books.
My students were the ones who actually tried to get me into this. I would record chapters for some of my struggling learners, some of my struggling readers. I would record chapters for them to listen to at night. So yeah, it's a tough group, but I enjoyed them.
Oh, all right, Sandra, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? We're still waiting on Talon to join, so hopefully she'll pop in here in a minute. But yeah,
Sure. Well, thanks so much for having me. It's so nice to see you all and kind of meet you properly all. So I'm Sandra. I'm here in Montreal. I have a home studio as well, and I come to audiobooks from classical singing. I have my voice performance degree in Bachelor of Music from University of Toronto, and of course lots of other performance experience, musical theater, all that kind of stuff, light opera. And yeah, so I came to audiobooks also just as a way to use that creativity, and I've always loved reading, and but I've only been at it for about a year, a little over a year, so I have far fewer titles, but and I'm still learning lots, but loving the community, loving the art form. I think it's really really fabulous, and yeah, I love it.
that's so exciting. And we've got people from all over the world. So
Yes.
I
Wow,
think, Jillian, are you
fantastic.
from the US?
Yes, I'm in Delaware, which nobody's in Delaware. It's just me, just over here being in Delaware. So Biden stops in sometimes, but that's about it.
So yeah, Jillian's in the US, and then we've got Shakira, who you said you're British, and then Sandra, you're in Canada. So we've got a wide range here. And
Yeah.
Talon, I will try to drop her link in a minute if for some reason she can't get on. But Talon is currently in the Nashville area, which is close to where I went to
Close
college
to you.
in Memphis, Tennessee. So it's like it's amazing to see the wide range of talent from around the world. And it is such a pleasure, again, just to have you all live with us. And I know our viewers have been excited because we have already gotten so many great questions. Um, so, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to type the question into the chat and pull it up on the screen so everybody can see it. And hello, Luna.
Hello.
Good to have you, and everybody else who's joining, feel free to pop in the chat. You all know, okay, we're from all over the place. Where are you chatting in from? Um, so let's get started here. The first question is about the ACX. While I'm typing this up, would one of you guys like to explain to the viewers what the ACX is?
Jillian, go ahead.
Sure, yeah, I can explain that. So ACX is the audiobook creation exchange, and it is run by Amazon and Audible, so it's directly affiliated with them. And what authors do is you link your book directly from Amazon to ACX, and you create a profile on there, and you can independently connect with a narrator either by searching for one or holding auditions. And it's just a way to independently create audiobooks, solely between you and the narrator. You're just working you, narrator, and that's the contract. And it walks you through the whole process. And at the end, the narrator sends you files that are industry ready to go out onto all the audiobook platforms.
And to add to that as well, ACX I find has got so much information on it. So if you go to the ACX website, it will tell you step by step exactly what to do, either as an author or as a narrator. It's a really easy, user-friendly interface. If you're looking to become a narrator, it also has this kind of ACX masterclass with little videos and almost like a university. They call it like a ACX university or something, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
And they've got just so much information on there. So the website is full of brilliant information for both authors and narrators. It is not the only place to do it, though.
No, we will. Yeah, there are plenty of other places we can talk about, but that's the main one that a lot of people know about.
Yeah.
That's a great example. And I actually had wondered when I saw that question if it was open international, but it sounds like ACX is available internationally.
There are a couple of places where it's not.
Yeah.
So Australia, and I think New Zealand as well. I know for definite it's not available there.
Yeah, I think it's just UK. It's UK, Canada, and United States.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it?
Good to know.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
So there are other platforms where you can contract a narrator or producer for your audiobook. And of course, those are all going to vary in process. I personally did use the ACX when I got my book made into an audiobook. And on the author side, it was really seamless. It was easier than I had expected. I was scared of doing an audiobook because I didn't have any books out before. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to fork over thousands of dollars in what you guys are worth for talent. And that sort of ties into the first question that we got, which is, does the ACX still offer a 50-50 option, which is where the author doesn't pay the narrator but splits the royalties? And I think that's actually called royalty share.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. And they do still do that. There's a number of options available on ACX. There's the royalty share. There's something that's called PFH, per finished hour. So for every finished hour of audio, you have a rate that you pay the narrator. Or I think, is this right, Gillian? Do they still have the royalty share plus option?
Yes, there's royalty share plus, and that's where you pay a portion of the author's PFH, per finished hour rate, and then you also share royalties with them. So there are 3 options on there of how to do payment. And one thing that's always really helpful to know is how to figure out how long is my audiobook in hours. So the easiest way to figure that out is take your word count and divide it by about I think my rate is 9,100 words. Some people have a higher rate, some people have a lower rate, but about 9 or 10,000, and that'll tell you how many hours in the length of books. So that'll give you an idea of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I did use Royalty Share Plus, where it's like I put in a flat rate per finished hour with Talon, who's not on the call. And then several people applied for or interviewed for the position. They sent basically audio clips of the script that I had uploaded, and from there, it's a really hard choice. It's a really hard choice.
Did you
Right.
have a lot
Because
of people you had to sort through?
yeah, I honestly was like, nobody's going to want to narrate my book. So I was really surprised when
We do.
anybody picked it up. Hannah B says, "Hello, ladies. I'm an audiobook narrator as well, tuning in from Utah. Hi, Hannah."
Hey, Anna.
Um, so the second question was, would any of you guys accept this kind of arrangement, the royalty share or the royalty share plus?
So I
Uh,
do now royalty share plus and per finished hour. I don't take on any royalty share projects anymore. It's just it's so much work, and
Mhm.
unless the book is going to be a hugely well selling book that you're going to get money back for with royalty share, I can't do that anymore. I used to, but I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's very, very time consuming to do all the editing. And if you get if you do the royalty share plus, at least the plus portion can go toward editing costs and proofing costs, because every book that we narrate, at the very least, we have to send it to a proofer. So not only do we invest the time to record it and prep it and all the other things that go along, but you're also out of pocket paying a proofer. So if the book doesn't sell really well, it's a little more frustrating, I'll say.
I'm also in the same situation. I'm accepting royalty share plus as well as the per finished hour option, kind of for the same reason. And I think we all are in the same situation where usually you do royalty share when you're starting off. It's good as a portfolio builder. But those extra costs and the time in there, one thing that's helpful to know is that each finished hour of audio can take about 6 hours to do if you're recording, editing, and proofing it on your own. Um,
Wow.
And
and
more.
so
And
that's a lot of time that can be sunk into a book. And then
Yeah,
there's
that is
also the
average.
cost of if you outsource to kind of cut that time frame down, then you're paying the costs.
Yeah,
So what a lot of people will do is they'll do the royalty share plus. That's what I do now, and that covers the cost of I hire an audio engineer to do my editing and to do my proofing. So that does cover costs that we kind of have to take care of.
exactly.
Wow, that is so. That's a lot of recording because we get the finished version and it's like, oh, this was 11 hours. That's a lot of reading, and you don't think about all the editing and all the mixing that might go into that. It's a lot. Um,
it's a yeah. I think a lot of people describe it as a marathon, and it is.
It
It's not
really
easy.
is.
It is.
It is.
And I don't know about you ladies, my first book, I had no idea what I was doing, and I it took me 3 months to do this 6 hour book because I didn't know when I
Yeah,
signed up for it what I was looking to do. So it took me 3 months, and it was painful, and the author was so patient. Definitely worth the royalty share option there.
yeah.
And but we didn't even know getting into it what it all entailed. It's a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, it took me 3 months. Good, like good for you. It took me far longer. But then I was juggling kids and didn't really appreciate, like you say, what I was getting into at all. And I was going down to the local library because I didn't have any home studio set up. So I was going to the local library, which had professional music studios, and I would
That's
go
amazing.
there and I would book myself for 2 hours at a time. But the first time I walked into that studio, I didn't know what any of the equipment was.
I'm
Big
still
learning curve.
learning.
Yeah, I think it's a constant learn. You know, everyone's always
It,
learning in whatever profession.
exactly. It's
It's
constant.
just as much work to bring the book to life as it is to write the book.
Well,
uh,
exactly. We become, very invested. It becomes as much, maybe not as much as the author, but it feels like it when we're working on it.
Yeah, and we visit the book 3 times. We read it out loud, then we listen to it. So we get to know your book very, very well when we're working on it.
Hmm.
Yeah, we have notepads next to us with character breakdowns and voice files for different characters,
oh wow.
and we have to, if it's a non-fiction, or sometimes even with fiction as well, there's a lot of pronunciation checks, so we're doing a lot of research. um there's a lot that goes into it, so it is 100% for me a labor of love. That when I started,
Yeah.
it was fine that it was just a labor of love, but now I realize, and especially for the community of narrators, it would be doing people a disservice to undercut ourselves, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
fair to say.
It is.
Hmm.
So the third question we got sort of ties into that. There was a comment on the announcement that we were going live that was just saying that it seems like the ACX gives the impression that narrators are really looking for high value, high income books. And obviously, with the amount of investment you guys are putting into it, that's totally understandable. So, do you require a high social to consider a book, or is there other criteria that you look at to consider a book?
Well, it helps. I mean, it does help. I think overall, it's important that the author is willing to market the audiobook the same as you market your actual book. The audiobook has to be marketed, or the sales won't be where you need it to be, especially in a royalty share, right? In any case, really.
And exposure for audiobooks works very much the same as exposure for ebooks or for print copies. The reviews gain more exposure, gain more. So as the author's marketing and getting that book out there, the narrator is getting more exposure, and the book is getting more exposure. So it's not necessary that you have a large social media presence. I wouldn't say that that's even something that I just look to see, is the author actively marketing their
Yeah,
book, or is this sometimes I've had books where it's just like it's an old book, the author wants to get into audio and then doesn't do anything else with it from there. Well, it's new to me and it's new in audio, so it should kind of be treated as a brand new release, that this is
yeah,
something special, this is a new format that should get that same amount of advertising and marketing.
for sure. And the same, I feel the
Absolutely.
same way. I never look to see how many followers anybody has on Instagram or or TikTok or anything like that, when I'm considering a book. Perhaps if you were doing purely royalty share, that would be a bigger consideration, because it would show that there would be more, um, more people that would see the book
Hmm.
if you just posted it on one of those platforms. But no, I look at, you know, can I read this book if it's 10 hours long? Can I work on it for, 6 hours per finished hour? Am I going to enjoy that? Am I going to like that? Am I going to connect with it? And if I'm getting a per finished hour rate, as long as the author is going to be marketing it, as Gillian and Sandra said, I don't, I don't look at how many followers people have.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's a really good question and really good points too, though. If this is your passion project and you just want to have an audiobook for an audiobook, that per finished hour may be a much better idea for you, because then, they get reimbursed for their time appropriately, and then you can take your book and sort of do with it what you want.
Yes,
Although
that's.
you do have to market the audiobook like a totally separate book,
Yeah,
totally separate project. And keep it going out. You can't just say, okay, I have an audiobook and people are going to find it when they go to my Kindle book. Like, no, it doesn't
Yeah, no, not necessarily.
work
It's a
that way.
completely different audience. I found it is a different audience. The people who listen to audiobooks, I feel, is not necessarily the same people that are going to come find your book from paperback or ebook version.
Right.
Have you
Which
experienced
is
that?
what I do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
The next question was, what other platforms can we contract audiobook narration from outside of the ACX?
Mhm. It's always the big question.
So
The
The answer that I've heard a lot, and I'm curious to know what you think about, is Fiverr. Audio
oh,
narration from Fiverr.
mm.
Mm-mm.
I haven't heard of that one. So there's a few different options. There's a few directions you can go. You can go the purely independent, which is ACX, or Audiobooks Unleashed, or Find a Way Voices is somewhat independent. And then there's several. I believe Authors Republic has
Yep.
has an option of that. Or you can go a production company where you pay someone a fee and they'll walk you through the process and they'll find a narrator for you. And then you can go a traditional publisher route, which is the third option where you do it through a traditional publisher. So there's three options, and ACX is the most common independent. And then Find a Way Voices, I'd say, is the second most common
I
for,
think so. Yeah.
yeah, for independent.
Yeah. Find a Way has just opened up a new marketplace. So it operates very similarly to ACX. The difference with them is that um, there's no traditional royalty share. I think it's 50-50 that you have to contribute, but it's the closest to AC. And yes, Authors Republic apparently is going to be opening a similar marketplace
Oh.
where authors can find narrators too. I don't know when they'll be opening that up, but they did announce it.
Is
And they're also,
Marketplace actually open now? Is it
I'm
open
not
yet?
sure.
Is it not? Well, the narrators' profiles are
The
definitely
narrators is. I just don't know whether it's
published.
actually open yet to the
I'm
public,
not
to
sure.
authors. But it will
Yeah.
be very soon. It's building its way there, and it
Yeah,
will
okay.
be very similar to ACX, as Sandra said, where authors can go onto it and search for the voice that they're looking for, accent, blah blah blah, age, sex, all that. Um, I tend to use Find a Way, especially when I have an author who isn't from Canada or the UK or America. So I have brought indie authors from Australia to Find a Way to use the platform. And that's worked really well.
And these platforms are just to get the book made. Basically, they all send out to the same distributors. They all send out. You're going to get your book on Audible, depending on how your contract is worked out. It's going to be on Audible, iTunes. It's going to be on Libro. It's going to be out there for people to listen to in the libraries, depending on how you set up your contracts. But these are just the platforms that get the book made.
And that tied right in to the next question was, do you recommend going exclusive with Audible or live? And in my experience, the contract that I had through ACX, it wasn't even really an option. ACX was like, your book will go up on Audible and Amazon and Apple iTunes.
iTunes, yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
iTunes.
So yeah, it was just like you're just signing yes or no. And I mean, you can claim your rights in the ACX and not actually distribute through ACX. Which is what the first video I ever found from Jillian's was, go claim your book in the ACX, even if you're not going to make it. So I went through and like claimed all my books. But yeah, I didn't really get a choice. It was like, if you're going to do it through ACX, here's the platforms that it'll be distributed to. And then it gave me an option to apply to put them out international. But I don't know when or where that works out. As of right now, it's still showing pending.
Like an Audible is just, it's huge. I mean, it's a great place to have your book. it's going to be accessible by so many people there. I don't know, Gillian, you might know the answer, or Sandra, with them ACX, does it go to libraries?
So
No.
that's the non-exclusive contract. So
Right.
if you went exclusive, there's a few perks to exclusive. Exclusive means that you only get to distribute through Audible, Amazon, and iTunes. It's only there. It's not at libraries, it's not through any other apps, it's not on Chirp. But the biggest benefit to that is they give you the free codes to distribute, which is
Yeah.
a huge selling point for a lot of people. So they'll give you 50 codes for the narrator and 50 codes for the
Yeah.
author to distribute to try to get reviews. So
Yeah.
that's where the big appeal on that is, but there's no time frame. So you can cancel that at any point and go non-exclusive. If you go non-exclusive, it's still on Audible, iTunes, and Amazon, but it also can go to other platforms, including libraries. So I don't believe they send it out for you, but you now retain those rights that you can put them on those apps.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Read your contracts, authors.
yeah, contracts.
So, what are or who are the key platforms to engage if going live? And I think that should be going wide.
Me too,
But
I do.
yeah, what do you think, Sandra? What are the key platforms that you recommend besides Audible, which we just talked about?
Well, there are so many, and the thing is, when you decide to go wide, um, sometimes they're packaged. So if you're going with Audiobooks Unleashed or Authors Republic, even Findaway, they often get packaged with a number of other books. So it's going to about 50 different platforms, and it's international. So those platforms argue that if you go wide, you will make up the amount of money for going exclusive because you're getting a wider audience. You're going to be able to sell to more people. So, but within that, there's Libro FM, Chirp, like Jillian was mentioning, Kobo, Downpour. Um, there are about 50 different platforms when you go wide. And libraries. I'm not sure that even ACX is wide. I'm not sure that they do libraries, actually.
Yeah, I didn't think that they did. I remember talking to someone about it and how,
Yeah.
one author really, really wanted theirs to go to libraries to support and
Yeah. Well,
yeah, don't think it goes.
libraries are a great place to have your audiobook, I think. Personally,
Yeah.
I think it's a great
Yes.
spot. Huge supporter of libraries. And
Yeah, me too. So I
my understanding is that it was Audiobooks Unleashed, Findaway, and Authors Republic that distribute to. And when you're doing with the libraries, it's either, I think it's Hoopla or Overdrive.
Yeah.
Or Libby.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, Libby is part of Overdrive.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does the author physically receive after a production? A file to upload? Now, I say for ACX just to streamline it, when I worked through them, the file was uploaded straight into ACX. I didn't have to upload anything. I did listen through all the production hours and approve them, but I didn't have to physically upload anything
Yeah,
except the
no.
cover.
I've used ACX and Findaway, and on both of those platforms, the narrator uploads their files after they have recorded, proofed, edited, everything. The finished files are uploaded by the narrator. They can be checked on that platform by the author, and then ACX and Findaway sort it all out and distribute it everywhere. I haven't used any of the other platforms, so maybe Sandra or Gillian could say if it works the same.
It doesn't work the same with Audiobooks Unleashed. It's they still have a process where they approve all of the specs to make sure that they meet all the standard specs for all the platforms. But yeah, it's not quite as user friendly. It's more upon the narrator to make sure all of that's done, and then the narrator uploads it to Audiobooks Unleashed. But it's not difficult. It's just a different experience for the author. It's more work for the narrator in some ways.
Yeah. And then the last question, because I know we're sort of running on time, the last question we had from a crowd is, what is a fair per finished hour rate? I see anywhere from $250 to $2,000 per finished hour, and the second feels impossible as an indie author.
Do you know
Wow,
anyone who's
2,000.
2,000 per finished hour?
I maybe I should charge more. I don't.
On
I
here.
don't know anyone who gets that.
Your
That's
salary is set for the whole year. You're done, one book.
I doubt even celebrities get that.
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly.
I don't
Maybe.
know about that because even if you work with a big publisher, you're not getting that.
No, so 250 is the kind of SAG-AFTRA minimum rate. So union minimum rate is 250 per finished hour. But that doesn't mean that it has to be 250. And if you were going to do that royalty share plus, I don't know about anybody else, but I reduce my rate. So my rate is 250, but I will like half it, or just over half that for a royalty share plus. And also it's all negotiable, depends on the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely
Yeah, I
the
mean,
same over here. Yeah.
just
But
that
definitely
in 250, yeah, and it can be higher or lower, but
Yeah.
it will depend upon the experience of the narrator too, right? It will vary for
Absolutely.
sure.
And all three of us,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
Gillian's been doing it for a bit longer.
Because,
but
and not
we
all
have
books
more
are the same
but
length,
that all goes
per
into it.
finished hour for a 100,000 word book is going to be totally different than a per finished hour. Sorry,
There's a
didn't mean to
delay.
cut you off.
Yeah, it's
That's okay. I think there's a bit of a delay.
So yeah, for those who want quick math, if it takes 11 hours to do a 100,000 word novel, that's finished hours, not 11 total hours, then that's not even $3,000. You should not, I don't think, be paying $5, $6, $10,000 for a 50,000, 60,000 word novel. But I am not the professional, and I definitely think that narrators are just key. The work that you guys do and the love you pour into the books is worth paying for. So if you're an author and you're an indie author and you can't afford that chunk, look into the royalty share plus. And also, this is just me speaking as an author, ask your readers if they're even wanting audiobooks, because if you pour the investment and time into it and you have 3,000 subscribers but none of them listen to audiobooks, then really you're now having to go out and find an entire new market that isn't even going, like your existing market isn't going to buy them, so you're going to have to find a whole new market, and that's a whole other ball game. So yeah, don't just say, oh, I have 3,000 followers, they're all going to want to buy my audiobook, because that may not be true.
And the narrator you select and the relationship with the narrator is really key in the process and how it's going to go for you, how smooth it's going to go, and how it's going to, the end result is going to sound. But the biggest thing is, if you are new to the experience, then you want someone who's going to kind of hold your hand and say, don't worry, I'll walk you through this. And so sometimes that might mean somebody who is worth a lot more than you were expecting, but it all just depends on how much you're willing to invest in order to get that experience in there.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm so sad that Talon couldn't join us today. I think she might have had technical difficulties. But I'm going to drop her Instagram, and I have the websites up for all three of you, Sandra and Jillian and Shakira, in the comments. So if you're watching, because we've got several viewers on, and you're interested in learning more about any of these amazing narrators and voice actors and singers, then you can go to their websites, because you guys all have multiple talents, and it's really inspiring.
Thank you.
But thank you so much for joining today, and just all that you do. Really, my heart goes out to all of you. for bringing our books to life, because it just means more. Everybody dreams of one day somebody will bring my book to life, and some of us that's the form of audiobook, and some of us that's the form of movies, but like you guys are the talent bringing our books to life, and that means a lot.
Oh, that's
Well,
nice.
Thanks
we
for
love
having us.
doing it. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much for having us, and best of luck to you with your
Hell,
story. You just constantly amaze me with what you're able to produce in 24 hours a day. I don't know how you do it.
thank you so much. It's been a whirlwind, but it's fun. It's fun. So yeah, if you're watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Follow all the links in the comments and in the description. There should be the same links in the description box. Today we're continuing the indie author live chats with a middle grade and YA fantasy author live chat at 7 p.m. Central because, and I know that's a little late, but we have one person who I think is in Spain, one person who is on Japan time, and then a couple people from the US. And so we've got like a whole variety, but they are all people that I gave 5-star reads to in 2021, which is a feat. I read about 45 books a month, and I had 19 5-star reads, and they were all one of my 5-star reads.
Wow.
A month.
So yeah, feel free to hit the bell or subscribe if you want to tune in for that. But I'm an editor. Full disclosure, I read so many books because I edit. Oh, but all right. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you.
Katherine.
Bye.
Bye, Shakira.